someone came by and unstrapped everything. Riding a bicycle is more of a means of transportation for me. I have actually participated in races, although I wasn't really good at it. I have been second and third. That's my best place actually, but all the races that I have participated in are open races where you could just join whichever bike you want, if you are on a club or not. And depending on the class that you will be, based on your age and your abilities, actually, you just participate, going a race, and hope for the best. But it didn't really actually start it that way, and it started from the very bottom, at least. My first bicycle that I very much owned that was actually a bicycle, because the previous one that I had was a kind of a Frankenstein monstrosity itself. It had a BMX handlebar, it had a fake rear suspension, it was basically horrible. The only good thing that it had is that it was blue in the back and grey in the front. And that's the only good thing that it had. So after that, a bicycle shop opened in around 2014, I think, in which I bought my very first bicycle, and it was actually from a cousin of mine. I got a 24-inch because that's how you measure the diameter of the wheel, actually. It was a 24-inch Matrix Oregon Pro, and apart from the fact that it was orange and it had an aluminum frame, it wasn't really something significant. It was basically one of my first bikes that I actually did some stuff on it. I changed the handles, I changed the pedals, I think. I got some BMX pedals, which I really do have some scars from it back then, because I really fiddled around and it really was a pain because I didn't really know how to use them. But nevertheless, I treated the bike like it was nothing. You can see that I still have the bicycle till this day, and from the one side it's orange and from the other side is yellow, because I had let it expose in the sun. It was really that bad. I used to do skits all the time, all the jumps that I could think I could do, everything in between. But nevertheless, I of course got taller in my teenage and I couldn't really fit in that bicycle. It was too small for me. So I went again on the same bicycle shop and I got myself a 2015 Cube Aim Pro in a very high visibility jacket green with blue details. Now, I really love this bike, although I have spent most of my time on it and most of my money actually, depending on spending money on the bicycle. And I have really done some significant stuff to it. I have participated most of the races that I have actually raced on, and I have went almost every I have went almost in every place in my town I could go to. Even if it is for road or dirt use, I would mostly go for dirt use because I mostly like off-road bicycles, not really the road bicycles. What I think for the road bicycles, at least you can just ride them and go to increase your stamina, let's say. It doesn't really do anything more significant things than that. Well, nevertheless, I have had my most experience on it. I have done my fails, I have done my good things. For example, the OEM tires that it had, they used to pop a lot. So what did I thought that I could do? Get downhill tires. Of course, the tread of it was extremely convenient on dirt roads, but it was a pain to use on the roads that that you have to go. I used it almost everywhere. I used to go to my tutor classes. I used to go meet my friends, go on bicycle events, bicycle races, everything in between. Now, another downside of that is that it weighed around 13.2 kilograms, and with the tires that it had and some other modifications, it went around 14 plus. It's made a lot of pain to operate, which means that on my bicycle club that I used to go, people were just trying their best, and I really had to push myself to the limits to actually catch up with them, or even go further. But nevertheless, I tried my best on it, and despite that it had lots of battle scars, as I call them, because full of rocks and other stuff. It had full of chips underneath it. They had lots of oil and grease through the years and every other stuff that made it look like it had been used for many people, but it was only used for me. I, of course, didn't care much about it. The worst that I have done on it is like I tried to do a bunny hop and then I changed gear mid there, supposing that I would change the gear as I was cycling. And of course, that didn't happen. So when I landed down, all the components of the transmission snapped and went underneath the cassette, and it was basically inside the rim and the cassette, and it couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't cycle, I couldn't do basically anything. And from what I have heard, at least, it was very, very difficult to fix this, but nevertheless, it was actually fine in the end. Now, apart from that problem, I also had a suspension problem, which meant that I thought it was an excellent idea to put the suspension on the soft setting, meaning that it could be more convenient everywhere, and I didn't change it to the hard setting when it was to go on dirt roads. And the result is that I almost totaled the suspension itself. It used to have lots of play inside the housing that it had, and I had to change it in the very end. And after some time, I went to university, in which I still am actually, and I went to my university town for quite some time, and basically everything was fine. And it used to have, and still has, lots of hills, and it's very demanding to go on foot. You either have to take a bus or go cycling. So basically, I talked to my parents, and I talked to my uncle as well, which he also has the hobby of cycling. Not exactly like me, but he still has a dirt bike, which he rather enjoys. And I told him to send it to my place when he has time. He said, of course, I will go to work on a nearby town of yours, and then I will come to you to deliver your bike. So everything was set off. He has strapped it really tight and with other straps as well. And he went to the town that he needed to go. He went to work, and after some time, he left it on a parking that he very much tried himself. He has left his canoe in it, his own bicycle, and some other stuff that he left on the roof racks because he couldn't really leave them on, you know, on his hotel that he stayed. But nevertheless, that particular day that my bicycle was going there, there was a woman that was new to the parking lot, and she, of course, didn't know that much stuff, but she seemed rather responsible for that. And around 10, 11 a.m., someone came by and unstrapped everything. He did the cut the straps, and he took the bike. The woman, of course, questioned him, why are you taking the bike and what's going to happen to it. He's like, oh, it's my own bike. And then he left. And so my uncle sees everything from the camera footage, and basically when I met him, I questioned him because nothing was on the roof racks. He said, okay, we'll have a talk about it, and we're gonna have a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to tell you about it. And that's what he told me, basically. I, of course, wasn't sad or anything. I was very much serious. I didn't get affected by it by any means, because it was an old bike. At this point, it has seen better days, of course, but I still think it sometimes, and yeah, I think about it since it was a real big problem for me. So what happened in the end is that the parking lot was going to write us a check, depending on the budget that we had and they had as well, and also depending on the price of the bicycle. It was around then 150 and 170 euros, so it was pretty fine. My uncle told me that I could go to whichever bicycle company that I wanted, but I wanted to go to Cuba as well. I have trusted myself on Cuba for a long time, and I think it's better to give it a second chance. If there was no budget, I would just get a carbon fiber bike with everything in between and really over the top. I didn't want an electric one because it would be really heavy. And so I have trusted my best friend as well, who really does research on bikes and such. We done some research about it, and we found the Cube analog of 2021. So we selected that in black and teal, or turquoise if you like to call it. And I'm just waiting to get it from a bicycle shop that we negotiated we will get from there. So I went to the bicycle shop to check about the bicycle and some other that they could fit me, because it was a 29 inch and the previous one was a 27.5 inch. And yeah, I needed a larger bike again. So I went there and I straight up waited at them and I'm like, hey, I am looking for a 2021 black and teal Cube analog. They said, why do you want the bicycle now? And the orders are going to be done by April. It was November at that time. And they say that the bicycle is going to be on my hands on May. So I try to get things ready, and basically I called my uncle again to talk with that person. He was immediately calm. Everything was right. He showed me some other 29 inch bike so I could have a taste what a 29 inch bike would feel like. He got me into a monstrosity of itself. It was different components that didn't really resemble a bicycle that you could trust yourself on it. But nevertheless, it was nice. And after some time, I went to my hometown and I saw him with the bicycle on a cardboard box. Basically, what happened in this case is that the guy that had the bicycle shop said that he would send it to his address. Without even saying anything, he just went up and said, hey, I'm going to send it there. Without even asking. I don't know. I have no idea why did this happen. All I had to do was assemble the wheels, lock them in, and it was ready. It was absolutely beautiful. I have never had a bicycle like that, nor I have ever ridden one like that. Of course, it's not that light or not that great. Of course, it has different gearbox and it's more convenient on dirt roads than the previous one. And I pretty much enjoyed ever since then. I have only paid for lots of accessories for lights, bicycle lock, gloves, and some other stuff that will make my life easier with that one. So I'm just waiting until I get into my university town again and to rather enjoy it when I have time. So basically that's how I got my bicycle stolen and I got a bicycle for free.